Hi everyone, it's me again, and Squish Gang is present. Is present. Is present, depending on what kind of type vibe you're looking for today. And today we are going to talk about the kind of notion of male-dominated satire and like the Sigma male bro satire on TikTok, as well as how we kind of got to YouTube satire in this name, and particularly where everything came from and how we got to people like female gaze Kevin. Because he's been on my, recommended or videos about him and on my TikTok For You page quite a lot recently. And I didn't want to just like recycle everybody else's videos because like what does that serve? But instead, I wanted to discuss how we got to this type of character type, that being female gaze Kevin. Now, first, links, sources, Amazon, Patreon, ways to support the channel all down below, including links to affiliate links like Every Jules, which I have a code for that. Sure. And just that kind of stuff will all be below. Also, thank you to my patron besties, names on screen. Thank you for being so kind as to support the channel. Now, let's keep the chit-chat to a minimum because there are going to be 3 parts of this video, as per always, unless you're new to the channel, you don't know that. We're going to start with the beginning of the phenomenon, how it started on, I believe it started on YouTube. And then part 2, the American Psycho / Fight Club / Andrew Tate parody font type of creators. And then part 3, we will talk about female gaze Kevin and this kind of notion of like being a better man for women, like kind of pick-me guy types, if for lack of a better term. So that's what we're getting into today. Stay tuned. The video will also be chaptered for your viewing pleasure if you only want to see 1 or 2 of the sections. So let's get right into the video. Part 1 is the phenomenon. So like to a typical research paper, I am beginning with, an abstract type or a place to define my terminology. So I'm going into this video understanding that the content we're going to discuss today primarily is satire. Yes, I am in on the joke. Before the bros in my comments start raging, no, I know it's supposed to be a joke. The problem is just because something is supposed to be a joke or supposed to be funny doesn't mean that it is. Cue Def Noodle's I'm a comedian rant, for example. So that's what we're discussing, because the thing is that things don't always work out as intended. And this is going to depict examples of that. So at least on the surface, the intention is to make fun of these people, right? Like for example, the alpha male types. But sometimes, for some, it hits too close to home. And instead of being funny as in a way to make fun of somebody, it is funny because they relate to it. Which that's going to bring forth a whole set of issues beyond that. The comedy currently, or whatever you want to call it, is the most prevalent on TikTok right now. However, I'm stating here for all of you, and kind of just the general consensus of everything, is I believe that it originated on YouTube. And people are going to be familiar with the comparison that I'm making. So here's where we get into Filthy Frank, who is now known as the musical artist Joji, who is actually quite popular. Filthy Frank, Pink Guy, Joji, whatever you want to call him, was a creator who was very popular in the mid-2010s on YouTube, where it began as kind of public pranks in a pink suit, which hence the Pink Guy name, that were usually like public pranks, but then turned into more skit-based videos with the Filthy Frank character. The channel itself has not uploaded since the end of 2017. Filthy Frank / Joji / whatever made a statement on Twitter in early 2018 that the channel would not be uploaded anymore and he was retiring the character to pursue other ventures, which turned out to be music. Filthy Frank is made to symbolize the worst type of people on the internet, and because of that was deemed a satire. However, there are issues with that because, for one, people related to the character and enjoyed the character, which Joji claims that it was sort of a social experiment, and it actually kind of states that in the About section of the channel. And we will read that prior to the next step of the video. However, the thing is that if you're not on mobile, for example, and I don't know what older YouTube was like, let's say like YouTube mobile circa 2017, I don't know what that looked like. The About section, you can't really see. Even to this day on desktop, you can't see it unless you go into the tab, right? So a lot of people were just watching these videos because they enjoyed them and related to the comedy. And before people tell me, how do I know that? I made a video on 2016 YouTube. I made 2. And I actually did get a lot of comments relating to, oh, things aren't funny anymore. Nothing's relatable anymore. Like when Filthy Frank and iDubbbz were really popular, or Maximofo was really popular, those kinds of people. People were not understanding that it was satire. And that is still kind of, prevalent just reading the comment sections. So we will read the description for the channel and what the attempt was. And then we'll be able to kind of bridge into the types of humor on TikTok and stuff like that because of how everything ended up working out. So it reads as follows. Filthy Frank is the embodiment of everything that a person should not be. He is anti-PC, anti-social, and anti-couth. He behaves and reacts excessively to everything expressively to highlight the ridiculousness of racism, misogyny, legalism, injustice, ignorance, and other social blights. He also sets an example to show how easy it is in the social media for any zany material to gain traction/followings by simply sharing unsavory opinions and joking about topics many find offensive. There is no denying that the show is terribly offensive, but this terrible offensive is a deliberate and unapologetic parody of the whole social media machine and a reflection of the human microcosm that social media is. Or maybe I'm just the last 2 words in the statement because I have it on screen. I have a couple of points about this that I want to discuss before we get to the, meat and potatoes of this video. So there's something that bothers me is that this essence of parody should be more clear in the videos, because even seeing Joji's recent concerts, where people were like expecting like a big sad boy emo moment and instead got like a very happy-go-lucky giddy person who made a lot of jokes, there are kind of elements of the Pink Guy, at least Pink Guy music type of persona that come through in the shows. And there were elements of his personality that came through in the character. So the clarity of satire, depending on which video you watch, because obviously like Human Cake, which is no longer on the YouTube platform, or when he takes baths and ramen noodles is like obviously like heavily satirical. But depending on the circumstances, it actually wasn't super clear. It should have been something that was more obvious in the videos. There should have been a video relating to the satire as opposed to just a measly description in the about section of the channel. And you will see how these TikToks that we're going to talk about seem to repeat the same cycle with this kind of unclear satire vibe that mostly like teenagers are being like, well, I relate to this and I like this, I think this is funny. And also at the end where it says like, I'm, R word, whatever, kind of backpedals on itself, being like, or maybe I am just this character, which leaves an element of uncertainty in the kind of Filthy Frank universe of what's satire, what's not. And when you're doing that, you're kind of giving a breeding ground to these characters who want, and characters, I mean people in this case, who feel like they think Filthy Frank's humor is funny, like unironically, like in their own lives. And then they'll be able to, through that, perpetuate these ideas. And sometimes if they want to say something perhaps racist or whatever, they just kind of say it. And then they go, well, I'm quoting Filthy Frank. Or, haha, no, it's just satire, right? Because I cannot tell you how many times online, even to this day, I've seen like horrible actions just justified as dark humor. Or people using humor as a guise. Same thing as trolling, right? Oh, I can say whatever I want, I'm just trolling. Trisha Paytas does this all the time. You can see that it's just a cycle to like kind of put forward your message, but then be able to like backpedal on it whenever you want. And that causes, obviously, a huge problem. That's why people like Keemstar, for example, are able to just like keep going in their careers while saying pretty horrible things. So now we'll get into part 2, where we'll specify this kind of American Psycho, Fight Club, Andrew Tate type of character. So in this case, we're going to talk about a very specific TikToker. There's a video that I've used before, and I don't want to make it seem like I'm just, recycling the same content I've done before, because I have talked about alpha males as a genre in particular before. So this person his name is Paul Bordelau? Bordelau? I don't know how to pronounce it. I love that. Anyways, his username is _ladiesman217. Anyway, so he's 21. He's from Canada. He goes to Western, so that is in London, Ontario. So that's probably around where he's from, I would imagine. Anyway, so he does these kinds of skits. He does a lot of plays on like hockey player jocks. He has a few Andrew Tate skits. He has some skits relating specifically to American Psycho and that kind of stuff, and hedges on either just blatant, outright satire or kind of like towing the line where it starts to get a little bit confusing. So I have somewhat touched on this idea in the past, where I've talked about where satire kind of just doesn't come clear. And I had used a TikTok in my Alpha Males video that actually talks about this specific creator. And I will insert that with a little bit of my conversation from that video as to not like repeat myself. So there was a TikTok that I saw that was this guy doing an impression of like the douchebag rich college guy and how he treats his girlfriend or whatever. And then this creator stitched it and talked about like this slippery slope of satire. And I want to relay her notion in this video. While we're talking about technically different things, this guy also makes like Andrew Tate parody videos. I'm going to put that in, and that describes the way that I want to make the parameters for satire. I also, of course, will tag the video down below as well.
My calls are paying for you and your little slut friends to go and purchase $17 cups of coffee every.
I'm going to tell you why this isn't funny. And before y'all come for me like, oh, this is satire, you missed the joke, let me tell you something about satire. Satire requires a clarity of purpose and point of view, or else it could otherwise be misunderstood and misconstrued to literally represent what it intends to jest at. I'm seeing a lot of trends lately where people in positions of power are essentially satirizing other people who share that particular identity of privilege. The problem with this is that if you share that literal identity of privilege, you're relying on a sense of individualism to essentially separate yourself from the power structure that you're complicit in and benefit from. This is gaslighting and manipulation. And honestly, it's dangerous when you consider the fact that these people often don't do the critical engagement and the work to dismantle and disrupt the systems of power that they benefit from.
But you see what they're saying, and I'm saying there because I didn't check their gender before making this video, but it's described in a way that is saying that like these things can get misconstrued, especially if done like accurately, like the sake of the satire, right? But I think it can even be misconstrued. Let's say if you're bad at making fun of them, right? Which can happen when you're new to content or you're not like the funniest person ever. I don't think I'm very funny unless I can bounce off of somebody else, which means I'm the laziest kind of funny. For there to be poor criticism too can fuel them as a way to combat that and seem like they are more logical than they really are. So we're going to discuss the same creator at the forefront of this conversation. But I will say, however, at the beginning, I do think what's actually happened with this particular person, based on kind of what I've lurked, what I've sleuthed in my time, is that he's kind of just trying to repeat like cycles that made him successful. And he's trying to kind of just like, chase clout above anything else, which isn't necessarily a bad thing. It's the same thing as like I keep making these types of videos. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. However, I don't necessarily know if he realizes what it comes, like what this type of humor comes from, what it's led to, huge like anti-SJW movements in 2016, for example, and like where it can kind of go. And I want to say that I do disagree with the end portion of that TikTok. I don't think his content is gaslighting. I don't think he's trying to convince you that a reality doesn't exist. If anything, he's highlighting the existence of that reality. Whether he believes it or not, I guess could lean into that, but I don't think you know enough about him to confirm or deny that it's gaslighting, and that might be throwing it around a little bit excessively, especially because it's your reality that you're trying to shape, right? So I don't know if I'd necessarily agree with that as a notion. I would say that they're seemingly satirical by nature. But for those of you who don't know, when this guy's doing his satire, there's a whole genre of like Sigma male edits on TikTok where people like take American Psycho clips and put like audios over them and like text and stuff. And it's very strange. I went into them yesterday, which has definitely ruined my TikTok For You page, without a doubt. And Paul in this case has like a parody TikTok where he like reads these screenshots.
Don't be part of the problem. Be the entire problem. I'm just like Patrick Bateman, for real. But instead of being a sadistic egomaniac psychopath, I get really scared around girls. Of course I finish fast. I'm a busy man. I've got places to be, like Dorcia. Be the reason why someone closes this app and opens their Bible.
That is blatant satire. Like that is like he's obviously taking the piss out of them, right? As opposed to like the hockey player and the business student ones where he has that exact like a very aggressive tone and it's kind of threatening in a way. And then you can see comments too of people being like, oh, I'd let him treat me like that. And stuff which kind of implies that people aren't getting it. It's the same way as Filthy Frank. Like, I read the comments of the Weeaboos video, for example, and people were like, oh, wow, peak comedy. Like, this was so true and everything was accurate or whatever. Where it's showing that people aren't really getting what they're serving, you know? The issue with this is that when people aren't understanding the satire because of kind of unclear boundaries, is that it's ruining its own purpose, because satire is supposed to highlight the issues and denounce the messages that they're portraying. But the problem is that when they never show who they are as a different person, or that they do denounce these ideologies, then people just relate to them. And they'll repost their videos being like, yep, I agree with that. And the thing is too, I've kind of popped into a couple of his TikTok lives, and he has that kind of personality a little bit anyways. And if he's playing this elaborate character, it's getting to the point that the lines are getting too blurred. And, you know, maybe I'm just stupid and I don't get it. Thing is that I'm also much older than I would imagine a lot of his audiences, and he's about a year younger than I am. So it's like, if I can't figure it out, and maybe I'm obviously not the be-all end-all. Hello, I'm not saying that. But if I can't figure it out, there's like a decent chance that a lot of other people aren't going to be able to as well. So take with that what you may. What this breeds is almost like kind of like pick-me guy, where you utilize like satire as a multifaceted method of like being like, well, I'm here for the women, but also like the bros, we're on the same page, you know? And you go from like the Filthy Franks to the Pauls, and then you kind of get into the ultimate pick-me guy type, where you're getting to female gaze Kevin. And that's where we're going to get into the final section. So female gaze Kevin and how we got here. So I'm not going to do a whole history on female gaze Kevin because, like I said, there have been a ton of videos about this already. And I want to kind of take the time to shout out those people. So I'll put a couple of clips in and I'll put more videos in the description. And that will go over a brief history of female gaze
Kevin. This guy right here went viral for apparently capturing the female gaze. This is just my opinion, but as a female, he's definitely not captured my gaze. But now Kevin's fall was as swift as his rise to popularity. So Kevin started out by making videos like this.
I don't think you should get it, okay? You can't outdo the doer, okay? You can't outshine the shiner, baby. Hear me out. I'm not a bad guy. Okay, perhaps I'm kind of a bad guy.
If that was the first time you've seen them, I sincerely apologize that you had to see that. He really blew up. Everyone was eating it up. So many women were like swooning over him. But basically, Kevin was known for encapsulating and essentially being the female gaze. I think the reason why people are calling him, Kevin, the female gaze is because he doesn't necessarily fit the traditional stereotype, typical conventionally attractive male that we would typically see in like media and things like that.
That Kevin did on Twitch from 4 days ago, or at least it was up. It was streamed on this channel 4 days ago, and it to me was a big character reveal. I'm a little bit like, is this your king? I don't know, guys.
It's because he has Sampaku eyes. That is it. He's just a regular white man with Sampaku eyes.
I won't. All I'm gonna say, your beef is not. Chat, please, just let me have this one, please. Please, just let me, chat, please. Please let me have this one, please. I need it. I've had a bad day yesterday. I need it. Okay, well, all right. I won't do it. I won't do it. Thank you for the sub, Taz. I won't do it. Chat, move on.
Mama.
All I'm saying is your beef ain't with me. It's with Mike Tyson, whoever the fuck knocked your lip like that.
Oh, come on.
Let me talk to you if I was your boyfriend. So
Oh, here we go, bro. Here we go, brother. Here we fucking go. Now go ahead. Go ahead.
Wait, so he's calling her Lindsay Lohan?
I don't get it.
Why is he so petty?
Like, so I kind of get the appeal from that perspective, that it's not like a creepy gaze. It's like a nice, kind of appealing, inviting gaze.
Is this his idea of humor?
Maybe that's it. Because I'm 43 and I've dated a lot of guys.
Yo, I'm not gonna lie. How old she said she was? 43? She's lived double my life. Oh,
I don't know why he has to. Okay, all right, whatever. Here we go.
Weren't we just saying that this is the face that guys make when they're about to kiss you and like it's really cringe, and now they're saying that this is the female gaze?
What? What the fuck is that supposed to? Oh, he's trying to. Wait, he's making fun of her nose? Bro, fuck off, dude. Fuck off.
what? What?
What? Oh, be careful, Kevin. Oh, people aren't gonna like that joke. I wonder why. Oh, uh-oh, the chat's telling him to be careful. Stop being so edgy. Stop making fun of the black woman's nose, Kevin. You might get into a little bit of trouble.
What? What did I do? Chat, you guys can't make up your mind, bro. I don't know what you guys want from me. I didn't do anything fucking wrong.
She wasn't even making fun of him. She wasn't even making fun.
I'm gonna put a little trigger warning on the next part of the video because the clips exposed about Kevin were like comedy, if you can even call it that, jokes and skits, but they do depict violence against women. I just want to put that out there because I know that is not an easy topic for everyone to even see jokes about. Clips started to get exposed of Kevin's comedy videos where he pretended to abuse his girlfriend. He played both himself and the girlfriend in the videos. I think they were still on his page at the time where he was blowing up in popularity. His page is now taken down, but at the time they were still on his page. So it was very obvious that it was him. It was very obvious that he pretty much did stand by them. I mean, I don't know if he's tried to defend it at all now. They were still on his page when they initially started to get reached.
We're going to relate it to the message of this video. You can see based on like those weird I'm beating up my girlfriend comedy skits that he was doing what he would probably consider a form of satire. Now, that's not relating to the fact that he was also like a super bad person and got literally banned off the platform for those videos, platform being TikTok in this circumstance. And now he streams on YouTube because he was also banned on Twitch. But essentially what's happening is he was kind of just trying to poke at the fame machine until he got something. And what he had done is he bridged from that satire style for the bros to being like, I'm here for the women and I'm going to attract women. And then turned on it. The same women he was trying to, promote to when they were like, wait, you're trash. So what's happening here is you're just creating this infinite cycle of person's bad, wants to pretend to not be bad, uses comedy to perpetuate their bad messages because they do truly believe them, and then turn on people when they're called out. So is it really helpful to use satire for these types of messages? Or if you are doing satire, do you need to kind of combine a little bit more of a clarity of where your lines are? Where is it appropriate? Where is it not? Because the thing is, people tend online to perpetuate their experience as the universal one, just because you understand it as comedy doesn't mean other people do. And when your comedy involves messaging, which that could be heavily misogynistic, heavily violent, just bad messaging in general, you have to understand that people are not always going to get it. And you have to figure out where you're going to toe the line. And just ignoring that line exists is not going to allow you to serve a purpose that you're trying to serve. And that's if you're trying to serve it at all. Because a lot of people also just use comedy to perpetuate their horrible messages. An example, of course, like Dave Chappelle, who takes his transphobic messaging and uses his comedy to kind of make it seem like he's just edgy. And people are offended at everything these days. So it really depends on what you're going for and what you're trying to create from your comedy. These are all questions that in the comments, if you like, you can kind of discuss. And keep in mind what I said, though, in the sense of just because you see the comedy in it does not mean other people do. And you can go check the comment sections and you can see that other people do not. So that's the issue with these kinds of communities, is because people take their experiences as universal, there becomes a ton of disagreement. And then it will cloud the idea that maybe these messages shouldn't be perpetuated or there should be more clarity. And people can just ignore it on being edgy or having dark humor or everyone's being offended. Of course, you could disagree with me. I'm willing to hear you out in the comments as long as you're not derogatory, because you get some weird people who ask me if I have filler in my live streams. I don't. By the way, this is what my face looks like. Anyways, I think that's where I'm going to conclude the video. A little bit of a shorter one today. Links, sources, ways to support the channel, all linked down below, including any affiliate links or anything like that. Thank you to my patrons once again. Please suggest content down below. I also have an email for that if you'd like. More content in December, especially because now that I'm done school, we've survived grad school for another semester, on to year 2. I start year 2 of grad school in like a month. That's so crazy. So thank you all for coming. Thank you for watching to this point, and I'll see you when I see you. Bye.
Shotgun barrel. The perfect time to bring up that I used to say the N-word.
Bro, 난다요. What you mean is the perfect time to bring it?
Well, would you look at the time?
No way, it's 5:30. You guys want to know what I used to say? POV, I'm female gazing at you. If I was your boyfriend, I'd never let you go.